cultural diversity, multiculturalism in South Korea, because it's only saying, how are we going to do it? Not if we should do it. There is an opposite to multiculturalism. That opposite is called culturism. You may not have heard the word, but there is a word called culturism. So there are two sides we need to debate. To debate, you need to have your terms clear. I don't think people were very clear. The multicultural side is the salad bowl side, right? People come to your country and they keep their culture. The culture side, the opposite of multiculturalism, is the melting pot, where people blend together, right? We saw a beautiful example of this in the film, where the, I guess, half Filipino child was playing a Korean king, and in the advertisement where they're doing the language. This is culturist. This is actually really, I think, the traditional method of Korea, of all societies. So traditionally, Korea has been culturist. It has asked people to assimilate, if it's had people in it at all. So I think that this model has merit, and so instead of rushing to multiculturalism, I think it's good that there is a debate. There's been a contention among some people that it's not a matter of if, but you have to embrace multiculturalism. It's part of globalism. Well, I would want you to ask that. I mean, again, debate. I think questions are what you should come away with, right? Korea has entered international markets really well. Samsung, Hyundai, etc., and you've done this with almost no diversity. Meanwhile, as Professor Lim discussed yesterday, Europe is following the multicultural path, and they're having lots and lots of turmoils, ethnic enclaves, riots, etc. Is this really the way towards globalism? I would ask you to question that. I think it's a really important question. And don't just say, well, we're global, we have to. How are we going to do it? Do we want to? Or do we want to maintain our traditional minjuk, closed-off society, culturism? So that's a question. Does globalism mean that we have to actually have multiculturalism and have it fast? Disadvantages of multiculturalism is that you want to have media representation, but there's a pressure to always make it positive, right? So, for example, we saw the overrepresentation of black people in our media in the United States, where I'm from, right? But that's also always got to be positive. And he said, otherwise it's racist profiling. Well, actually, there is more criminality and a much higher murder rate amongst the African American community. And if we're not going to be allowed to talk about this, if we say the opposite of multiculturalism is racism, you're either multiculturalist or you're a horrible, mean, evil person that hates everybody. You're a racist. You're irrational. That is not a way to have debate. There are advantages to multiculturalism. There are advantages to culturism. Let's talk about it honestly. So before you rush into saying, let's celebrate diversity, let's embrace diversity, let's say everything is wonderful, ask yourself, do you want to have those Muslim enclaves that was being talked about yesterday by Professor Lim, who I was really glad to see was here? One last question I'll leave you with. It was really interesting to me, is this idea, which I think a lot of people believe in, and there might be some truth in it, that there must be foreign workers in Korea because there's a shortage of workers. I discussed with Professor Suk afterwards, and he seemed to believe that the number of unemployed Koreans is higher than the number of foreign workers. The problem, as we discussed in our group, is that Koreans have an attitude they don't want to do blue-collar work. So the question is, for the Koreans and the potential factory workers, men and some women, do you hate that so much that you want to now say, no, we're not going to do it, we're going to bring in lots and lots of people who may have lots of children? And think about this, as you're having less and less children, and you bring in populations that have lots of children, and then you promote, you don't have to learn Korean, you don't have to be Korean, we'll just make you Korean, because is that a formula for perpetuating Korea? Is that what you want? It's something to take seriously, because this is think 30 years down the line. Now you've got 30% foreigners. They are demanding their rights. They are going, as we heard the Filipino ambassador, they're going to Jasmine Lee, to the Filipino ambassador, to ask if they can have more skilled labor let into the country. Are they doing this because they love Korea? Because they want to improve Korea? Or are they doing this for their country, which I would predict? Again, these are questions that you really want to ask before you say, we're embracing diversity, we're embracing multiculturalism because globalism is the future and it's here, and how are we going to do it with a shining Western model? So think about it. I'm glad we've had this debate between the multiculturalists and culturists. It's been very invigorating. Thank you so much.